The Kremlin is once again drawing red lines, this time out of fear of the U.S. supplying Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. Moreover, statements from Putin, Peskov, Medvedev, and Lukashenko are coming out in sync, almost like an alarm has gone off. What's the Kremlin so afraid of? And how is the world responding to this blackmail and these threats? Let's break it down. The supply of Tomahawk cruise missiles and strengthening Ukraine's air defense are the key topics for discussion at the meeting between Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump in Washington. The U.S. president confirmed this at the briefing. However, he did not specify whether his administration is ready to meet Kiev's request for missile deliveries or what quantity might be involved. According to Financial Times analysts, this could be about 50 Tomahawks. But the White House is still keeping things under wraps. Trump said that the U.S. has plenty of such missiles, but all the details need to be discussed. The President of the United States has made it clear that his irritation toward Putin is growing. He has tried many times to get him to the negotiating table. Phone calls, face-to-face meetings, persuasion, and some pretty sharp warnings. All of this hasn't worked on the Kremlin dictator.
I'm very disappointed, because Vladimir and I had a very good relationship, and probably still do to this day. I don't understand why he keeps this war going. This war has brought him so much trouble, and soon it will enter its 4th year. He has lost 1.5 million soldiers. Of course, that's not even counting the wounded, those who have lost their legs and arms, and everything else that happens in terrible wars. It's a horrible war.
Realizing that the supply of American long-range missiles could change the course of Russia's war against Ukraine, Putin once again rushed to appease Trump and flatter him. After the President of the United States did not receive the Nobel Prize, the Kremlin dictator stated, and I quote, "The committee has completely lost its credibility since it rewards those who have done nothing for peace." But after the war in the Middle East was stopped, Russia remains the main source of global instability. And as the president of Ukraine stated, right now there is a unique opportunity to force the aggressor to sit down at the negotiating table and push them toward real steps to end the war. On this issue, Kiev is really counting on U.S. leadership and the personal involvement of President Trump.
We have already discussed some things with President Trump. There are outlines of solutions that could help. Regarding Patriots, Tomahawks, this is very important, and some other types of weapons as well. It's important to discuss sensitive issues in person. You can't say everything over the phone. We have a clear vision of how steps taken by America, Europe, and our other partners, as well as our own actions here in Ukraine, can bring the end of the war closer. American leadership is important, as is President Trump's leadership. We also plan to meet with representatives of American defense and energy companies. Of course, our key task is air defense and the resilience of our cities and communities, and, without a doubt, forcing Russia to make peace.
Putin is genuinely afraid of Ukraine receiving Tomahawks. The Institute for the Study of War has calculated that if President Trump decides to take such a step, almost 2,000 military targets on Russian Federation territory would fall within the range of these missiles. Kiev would be able to undermine the actions of the Russian army at the front by targeting rear areas responsible for supplying and supporting the occupying forces. The Kremlin understands this perfectly well, too. That's why Putin announced an urgent strengthening of air defense systems. And Russia's Deputy Security Council Chairman Medvedev unleashed a whole stream of threats, saying that all of this could end badly, including for Trump himself. They even brought Lukashenko into the mix. He declared that if Washington gives Kiev missiles, the world will be one step away from nuclear war. But let's remember, after all, this has all happened before, and more than once. The Kremlin reacted the same way to the transfer of Storm Shadow and Atakams missiles, and when F-16 fighter jets appeared in Ukrainian skies, the Kremlin called it the last red line. And Ukraine's partners are reacting less and less to all these outbursts and threats.
The policy of supporting Ukraine by the United States, ever since the Joe Biden administration, has been dubbed in the American press as the no-no-no-yes policy, hinting that the weapons Washington refuses to provide to Kiev will end up being delivered sooner or later anyway. That's exactly what the Americans did with the Abrams tanks, F-16 fighter jets, and Atakams tactical ballistic missiles. Each time, the transfer of weapons was preceded by lengthy discussions both in public and behind closed doors. The Abrams tanks, for example, reached the Ukrainian armed forces much later than the moment when Ukrainians needed them most urgently. From a BBC News report.
Ukraine has every right to self-defense, so the European Union fully supports the idea of transferring American Tomahawk missiles to Kyiv, officials in Brussels stated. As European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen noted, stopping Putin, including with the help of the latest long-range weaponry, is important not only for Ukraine itself, but also for Europe.
Putin's brutal invasion of Ukraine has been going on for a fourth year now, and we know that he is a predator, someone who can only be stopped by strong deterrence. That's why it's crucial that, when it comes to our own defense, we are coordinated, precise, and swift. Ukraine must remain strong so that our region can remain strong as well.
The Tomahawk is a missile that flies at subsonic speed, skimming the terrain as it goes. It can hit targets at distances ranging from 1,600 to 2,500 kilometers, and with incredible accuracy. The main drawback, as many military experts point out, is the launch system for such weaponry. The Tomahawk is launched from a vertical launch system, which is usually installed on ships and submarines. In the 80s, they developed air-launched versions, but then the Americans themselves abandoned the idea. There's also the new land-based Typhon system, which entered service with the U.S. Army just 2 years ago. However, there are only a few of these batteries. That said, this week the American company Oshkosh Defense presented a unique mobile launcher, the Extreme Multi-Missions, at the Annual Association of the United States Army Exhibition. It is equipped with a reinforced chassis for the heaviest loads, has enhanced off-road capability, and comes with built-in onboard power. The manufacturer stated that these platforms can launch various missiles from the ground, including the Tomahawk. The launcher is capable of carrying 4 such missiles at once and could become a real breakthrough in the field of weaponry. Here's what is stated on the manufacturer's official page.
The Army has clearly stated the need to create autonomous platforms that are independent of payload, and they are already ready. The Oshkosh family of multi-purpose autonomous vehicles is based on proven tactical machines, offering scalable autonomy and payload versatility. All this allows the Army to meet current needs and also ensures the flexibility to adapt to changing combat conditions. This is from the official statement by Oshkosh Defense.
Currently, Ukraine is receiving American weapons through the Special Pearl Procurement Program. 6 participating countries have already made contributions, and another 7 will contribute in the near future. This was reported by Ukraine's ambassador to NATO, Alyona Getmanchuk. According to NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, there is every reason to believe that even more countries will join the program.
One of the issues we will discuss is the new program that started in August. Within its framework, the United States is once again providing Ukraine with the necessary lethal and non-lethal military support, which is funded by allies and has already been allocated $2 billion. I also have every reason to believe that many other countries will join it as well. These are critically important things, including air defense systems and interceptor drones, which Ukraine needs to provide maximum protection for its civilian population and key infrastructure.
And it's unclear what Russia fears more, the Tomahawk missiles themselves, or the possibility that the world will stop responding to their threats. The Kremlin's will turn everything into nuclear ash is starting to look more and more like panic attacks. And while Moscow keeps talking about new red lines, Ukraine's partners are coordinating deliveries, strengthening air defenses, and calculating the risks.
Subscribe to The Gaze and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.